You have probably tried to change several times in your life. A few times, maybe it was something around your health. A few other times, maybe it was something around your job or something career-related. Changing behavior and changing ourselves, how we perceive the world, how we act in it, can be quite a tough experience, and especially for those who know things right about New Year's resolutions, right? Everybody goes to the gym, everybody tries to implement something new, and they completely miss out on revamping their life completely. Now, in today's episode, we're going to talk about what true transformation means, all the truth behind it, and we're not going to focus on habits, which is something that we're going to do in other podcasts and also a program that is available with Artful Maestro. Here it's really about reinventing yourself. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the Artful Maestro podcast. I am your host, Nenad Leonart, and I'm very happy to be today here with you, looking at all the details and new techniques that we can find out about developing as a classical musician in the 21st century. Now, I started out on this path a couple of years ago, even before I finished my studies at the music university, so I really have some huge amount of repetitions done all across my social media platforms. There are over 1,000 posts, well over 1,000. I've accumulated over 70,000 subscribers all across the world. I've launched different brands. I helped many other musicians gather views, gather new followers. I mean, at this point, we're in tens of millions of views on social media. So while I'm really, really happy for my customers that I had helping them out with video and with coaching, I now want to put it out to the whole world and help every classical musician get and achieve their goal. Now, if you are here today in this episode, you probably want to find out what's the actual truth behind transformation. And to be honest, transformation was something that has fascinated me for a very, very long time. And it's also been something that kind of magically eluded me for most of my life. I knew what I wanted, I knew where I wanted to go, and yet somehow it never really happened. I could try to put myself in a different kind of mold and pretend for a couple days or weeks or even months to be in this new type of circumstance, but then I would always kind of bounce back. And that has several reasons. And some really true lasting transformation happened 2 or 3 years ago for me. I didn't have a choice back then. I was kind of forced to do it. And when I was forced to do it, I discovered this new mechanism that I want to talk today to you and just really dive deep into it, how it works. Many people, when they're trying to, sell you like a fitness program or sell you on a coaching idea or, just kind of general help or general advice, a lot of it is meant well and it comes from a good place, but it just doesn't work in truth for most people. The reason why it doesn't work is not everything works for everyone, right? So this is a very personal way of discovering how you are wired, how your brain works uniquely and where you are attached so that you can actually work on these fields. I'm always fascinated by something that is archetypical or something that you can apply to everyone, right? Probably when you've heard things around going to the gym or changing up your diet or anything like that, they usually come with one solution fits all methods. And then lately, like in the last couple years, they started finally understanding, oh, wait, we have different types of people and they have different types of bodies, different types of psychological profiles, so they have different types of needs. And then it starts to get diversified and they maybe try to do this or that. And while that is really much better than what was before, nobody's actually focusing on the foundation, how that's going on. And we will dive really, really deep into how this archetypical structure of our brain is created, which is hundreds of thousands of years old and is never changing, and how we can actually use that and understand it, and with the help of it, create true and lasting transformation in our lives. Now, before we dive into today's episode, a quick reminder about the Artful Shop, which you can support this podcast with. When you go to the Artful Shop, there's a lot of merchandise, a lot of t-shirts, mugs, blankets, accessories for musicians that are musically themed. And when you purchase one for yourself or for a friend, as a present, as a gift, something that you want to say, I value you, right? You mean something to me. It's kind of difficult to find presents for musicians. That's why this idea came there. You support the podcast. All the revenue actually goes directly into funding the Artful Maestro podcast and the content that's being distributed. Having said that, not just do you get some fancy stuff when you go there, you can also use the code ARTFUL5 at checkout and get an additional 5% off your purchase. Go ahead to the Artful Shop right now. You can find the link down below, or just type in artful.shop and have fun. Today I received an email that kind of made me think, and I really love it. So we're going to go through different stages of this email that is kind of put the essence of transformation in a nutshell, of true transformation, the stuff that actually really works. And it is written by somebody that I really, really admire. I went and did a dozen courses by them. I still do those on a regular basis. It's just a vast amount of knowledge in terms of business, in terms of personal development, in terms of marketing, like all the basic stuff that I've learned, like that goes really, really deep, I learned from them. And with transformation, I actually experienced it in a completely different place, which now for me, connecting back to this base is really interesting, and finding out about it. And that kind of made me inspired to do today's episode, especially regarding what is happening in our future, in our very near future. These thoughts can be of very high value to you. So let's start. With the massive shifts that are happening, we are going to see more new opportunities than ever, and also more challenges than ever. This translates directly to us as musicians in the 21st century. Like in the last couple of years, everything that came up with digital media, everything that came up with social media, with new gear that we can record with, and now with the capabilities of AI, that is a lot of new changes happening. The problem is that most people just don't get what transformation requires. Let me say that again. Most people don't get what true transformation requires. They think it's about learning a new thing, or optimizing their habits, or reimagining their future, if anything, right? But there's another big piece. And the real transformation requires letting go. Believe me, this one is one of the hardest ever. Letting go of things, letting go of habits, letting go of anything that's going on, it's a really tough one. And I'm speaking here from experience. I've been somebody that over the years has accumulated so much stuff. Not just external stuff, but also internal stuff. So many responsibilities, so many thoughts, so many unfinished emotions. And I carried all of those in my backpack. And I remember I kind of crashed and burned around 2017, 2018, where it just, I couldn't continue further. Like, it was really, really, really bad for me. And then I knew I needed to find something in my life, something new, something had to change, because I just couldn't keep on going like that. And what I learned is that there is actually a muscle that's called the letting go muscle, if you so want to call it like that. And we are not really taught during our life how to use that muscle. We're like not really ever in school or at home or with our parents, grandparents, larger family, friends, doctors, psychiatrists, like nobody ever teaches you how to let go. And you can let go on a conscious level, but also on a subconscious level. And I mean, some things are easy to let go, some things are very hard. Think about a relationship that is coming to an end, how difficult that is to let go. Or also sometimes just to part ways with, I don't know, a beloved instrument of yours, or some clothes that you just kind of outgrew them and can't wear them anymore. Sometimes it's really not that easy, and we have never really been properly trained. Unless you're a Buddhist monk. I guess when you grew up somewhere in a Buddhist temple, you're probably very good at letting go. For us other normal people, this wasn't the case. So if we also want to change, if we want to transform ourselves, our lives, we also need to learn how to let go. And that's what I started learning in 2018. I started learning like the Sedona method, or like the letting go technique, which there's a couple different techniques. And I even did a coaching certification program so that I could become an instructor and teaching this method to other people. Now, I really, really believe that is a very powerful thing, and it kind of saved my life. You know, it took me a few years to really learn it, and I'm still mastering it. Like, I'm much, much better than I was, but I'm still not Buddhist monk level good, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be here talking to you, would I? Jokes aside, it is a very, very powerful thing that you can do for yourself, and I highly encourage you to go and check that out. I'm talking in my podcast, Exaltify Me, which is another podcast that I'm doing solely focused on personal development. I am going there much more in depth with letting go, with how to actually let go, and so on. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. The link is going to be probably somewhere in the description. Otherwise, just drop me a comment and I will tell you how to find that other podcast. So let's go back to this text. Real reinvention requires letting go. Just as a caterpillar must completely dissolve inside its chrysalis before emerging as a butterfly, true transformation requires letting go of something that is holding you back for something greater to be able to emerge. As I've said before, we kind of have this bag or this backpack that we carry around with us, and there's so many things that we put inside during our lifetime. There's wishes, wants, projects, emotions, so many things, like even people, our relationships with people, we put it in the bag. And then when we want to go to the next level, when we want to change something in our life, we kind of forget that we have this bag filled with a ton of stuff. And we forget to make room for something new by taking some of it out. Stuff that we don't need anymore, stuff that kind of got forgotten in there, stuff that has been around and it's not useful for us anymore, but we kind of still leave it in there. You know, maybe it's forgotten, maybe it's a little part of the brain that goes, oh, you know, maybe one day I will use it, right? Maybe it will come in handy at some point. Actually, I found the less stuff that you have to carry with yourself, the easier it is to go. So just be able to let as much things go as possible, take them out of your backpack and make room for something new so you can actually take it onto a new adventure. This isn't a gentle process of gradual change. It is a fundamental dissolution and rebuilding. So he goes in here to say it's not just take out a little bit, it's take everything out of the bag so you see what you actually carry and then restructure it in the way how you want your bag to look like. I don't know if you've ever seen these videos, like what do I bring with me in my backpack? Like I love to watch these. I love seeing what other people are carrying with them and what kind of gadgets and gear they have with them. I might do such a video myself someday because I just think it's so interesting to see what's in a bag of somebody else. And by doing this, you also really need to reconsider, like, what am I carrying with me? So let's take it all out. Let's look at it directly. Not try to make it more beautiful than it is, but then to come to a decision. What makes this especially challenging is that we are wired to hold to our identity as fiercely as we defend our physical survival. Now here it goes more in depth with deeper psychology, like talking about identity, how we think of ourselves, like how our identity is formed. Oftentimes we put in people to form our identity. We form our identity based on our jobs, our relationships, even based on the things that we own, right? There's people that have an identity as a millionaire. Like that's just based on their wealth, based on the wealth they own, and they form an identity of that. So guess what? It's going to be pretty hard for them losing that money, or even harder, letting go of it. So we fight to maintain our current sense of self, even when we are consciously knowing that it's holding us back. And this is a huge one. So we have this identity, right? And it's holding on for dear life to what we already have achieved because of the insecurity. What's going to happen after? What's going to happen if I let go of who I think I am? What's going to happen if I have to reinvent myself, redo everything that I have been doing? That's a pretty scary thought, wouldn't you say? And to be honest, it is probably something that we will have to undergo if we want to be successful in this day and age, in this world, even several times during our lifetime. So there's a thing about careers. Like I think that it's around a half-life of a career today is around 7 years. Maybe it's even become shorter to 4 years. I'm not sure, like in the last couple of years. But I have this number 7 sticking in my mind. So what it means is that somebody starts a career, or like, let's say you have your class of students, 20 of them graduate, start their career It means that after 7 years, 10 of them will have chosen a new career path. After 7 years, 10 will have chosen a new career path. And these time spans are becoming shorter and shorter. Back in the day, when you had one job, you started working that job and you worked until your retirement. It was pretty unusual for somebody to have a new job, to go and change their career. And today, it's becoming more and more of a reality that we need to change more and more our career. Now, in the music field, it's less pronounced, but also there you can see how many different types of jobs, they're becoming much more short-lived. There's a much higher fluctuation in everything that's going on, and people don't just stay in a post for their whole life. It's kind of much more fluctuating, much more exciting. They stay maybe a couple years, then they move to a new place. It's good for their CV. They maybe want to see other parts of the world. They maybe want to earn better, and so on. So there's a really, really, really high amount of fluidity going on in the changing of jobs, but also in the changing of careers. So if you want to make sure that your future is going to be financially stable, you need to always live with the opportunity of being prepared to change your career. Maybe not change it completely and, I don't know, become a chef after being a musician, although I know a chef that has become a coach, but you don't have to change your whole career path. But inside of your industry, you might want to consider changing into a better suited position for your age, for your financial demand, for everything that you are suited for, right? So consider these fundamental truths about transformation. You have to let go of parts of yourself that you are deeply attached to. Let go of parts that you're deeply attached to. Then, this disillusion phase feels like kind of a death. Your old ways of creating value, they must evolve. And what made you successful before now may limit you. This process cannot be controlled, only navigated. So what does that mean? This is pretty deep right here. It means that most transformation processes that people start out with, they fail because people try to add something new while clinging to their old identity. There's just no space in the bag or your backpack. Stop trying to fill it. Even if it feels threatening, even if it might feel like death even, to take it all out and restructure and see where it goes, it's well worth it. And here's why. There is a key how to do this without making it any kind of feeling negative in the long way, but making it kind of feel natural and very powerful. It's not about abandoning everything that was in your backpack before. It's not about trying to do something completely new. It's kind of like the butterfly example. Just as the butterfly retains the DNA of the caterpillar while transcending its limitations, your reinvention builds upon your existing foundation while creating something greater. So you already have a foundation. You have already a lot of skills and a lot of talents that are very unique to you. So however you choose to transform your life, transform your career, whatever path you want to take, you want also to build on your strengths, the stuff that you are good at. I've seen people try to completely reinvent themselves and start out like a completely new chapter because they felt like they screwed up in the last one. And what that also meant was that they weren't valuing everything that they have achieved in the last one. They weren't really taking care of all the good things that came out of their so-called previous life. And if they don't want to acknowledge it, if they don't want to see it for what it is, they're going to have a really, really tough time starting anew. This is a basic principle. Always build on your strengths. If you want to become successful, build your strengths. And if you want to improve, build on your, improve your weaknesses. Right? For really, really, really unique success, focus on strength. To balance it out, then focus on weakness. So let's talk about this reinvention process. It follows a natural cycle, which first, it comes the recognition that the old way no longer serves you. To understand that what you are doing now, it's not really of a benefit to you as it was some time ago. And then the challenging process of letting go begins. There's a period of uncertainty that will follow as old patterns dissolve, and finally, a new integration emerges that includes but also transcends what came before. So it's inclusive and then it goes on. Identity change is a big deal, and it can be done so much more effectively with the right support system, with the right environment, and basically also in the right community. So once that we're here, that is the reason why I've created the Artful Maestro community, where like-minded people have said, listen, me, myself, as a classical musician, I want to go to the next level. Everything that I've learned in my music lessons, in the art school, in university, that's cool and all, and that has created the foundation of my skill set, but now I want to make a change in the world. I want to matter. I want my music to matter. I want my art to matter, to be consumed by fans. I want to have more concerts. I want to be better paid. So how do I get there from here? And they have understood that the only way to get there is by transcending who they were before. That is also why it's so hard. That's why so few people take this path. Because it's much more comfortable to say, well, my teacher told me and I'm just going to do that. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to get frustrated and then I'm going to scream and then I'm going to be unhappy. But if you actually take responsibility and you consciously transform and go to the next level, that is a very, very different path that you're taking. And in the Artful Maestro community, people who are there, they know what it takes. They know how much effort it requires, and they support each other. As we've discussed in another episode, the power of the group, you cannot underestimate it, especially for transformation. Especially in this period of uncertainty that follows you kind of leaving everything behind. It feels like you're leaving everything behind. You're kind of bringing it along with you, but you need to let go. You need to let your attachments to it go so that you can grow. Actually, I like this. Let go so you can grow. Maybe we make that a motto or something. I don't know. So true transformation begins with losing attachment. Freeing yourself from what no longer is useful to you. I'm really curious to hear what you thought of today's episode, what resonated with you. If you think that it's going to be as hard for you as it is for others, or maybe you feel like, I got this. I did it a few times in my life. Personally, I've did it a few times successfully and a few times very unsuccessfully. So I kind of know what I'm talking about. If you don't have a solid support system, if you don't have clarity, if you don't have a real plan, and if you don't have the strength to let go, it's going to be an uphill battle. I wish you all the best. I hope that you take care. Go and check out the Artful Maestro Inner Circle community to get some support out of your peers. And I wish you a good week and see you in the next episode.